Yeah, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another exciting, head-scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. I got another update for you today about Rachel Nguyen and her friend Joseph Orbeso. Now, I recently read some information from a viewer of mine about. I think it was actually he copied and pasted it to the comment section of one of my videos about them, and he said that this was a message from someone that actually knew them on Facebook, and he was it was a very detailed comment, and the person that wrote it was pretty angry about a lot of things dealing with their disappearance. But they also said that they were not a couple, because they did mention the fact that they were a couple on the news, but they dated in the past, and then they were just friends. And I didn't mention it in the very first video, but the hike was actually a birthday present for her, because they were avid hikers and they were pretty experienced. But for some reason, unknown to pretty much everyone, they just seem to have vanished without a trace. But I did pick up some new information on Facebook. It was actually the Joshua Tree National Park Service Facebook page, and this is what they said. Searchers having been looking for 10 days for a couple who disappeared in Joshua Tree National Park with few leads or traces. Rachel Nguyen and Joseph Orbeso entered the park at approximately 6:45 a.m. on Thursday, July 27th, and has not been seen or heard from since. An extensive search has been going on in the park since July 28th, which has included resources from the National Park Service, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, Joshua Tree National Park Service and Rescue, San Bernardino County Search and Rescue, the Bureau of Land Management, Orange County Sheriff's Department, San Diego County Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol, Riverside County Sheriff's Department, U.S. Border Patrol, and the California Rescue Dog Association. While resources have been scaled back, a special regional overhead team made up of investigators from Yosemite National Park and Sequoia Kings Canyon National Park have arrived on scene, as well as NPS National Park Service drone specialists from the Grand Canyon. Canine teams from JSAR are also continuing the search when the scorching temperatures will allow. Superintendent David Smith said that their search teams have put forth a tremendous effort for the rescue and recovery of these two young people. We can only begin to imagine just how difficult and painful this whole experience has been for the parents, family, and friends of Joseph and Rachel. It has deeply affected the men and women involved in this search. Although we have had to scale back the active rescue, we continue to dedicate park resources to finding them. The couple's car was found at the trailhead of a popular hiking trail known as the Maze Loop. Anyone who might have have been hiking or stopping in the area and recall seeing a couple in their early 20s or having other pertinent information about the two are asked to contact San Bernardino Dispatch at 909-383-5652. Okay, that is the update on those two hikers. So far, that's pretty much the only information that has been given since this story first aired. Now, apparently, the Park Service stopped searching, but the other people involved in the searches are still searching as we speak. And like they said before, there hasn't been any known evidence to indicate where they are, where they were, or they haven't found any evidence whatsoever as far as like clothing, maybe some food fragments or whatever it is they would actually find. I mean, footprints, fingerprints, you name it, they haven't found anything. So this goes right back to the mysterious part of these national park disappearances. First of all, they go into a national park in the dead of summer, 110-degree weather. I would think they knew how hot it was going to get out there if they were experienced hikers, which is what the family said. What would actually make them go out there in that kind of temperature? Did they feel like they could handle it? Did they feel like it wasn't going to get that hot? Did they feel like they were prepared for the worst? Maybe. But for them not being found at all, obviously something went wrong. What that something is, I don't know. I could speculate all day long. I could tell you that maybe, just maybe, if you think about this in a supernatural sense, a wormhole opened up and they walked right into it without even realizing it. They walked through a dimensional vortex, maybe. I don't know. You know, whatever it is that happened to them, it caused them to disappear. Now, I could say that they fell through a loose patch of dirt that led into a cave on the ground. Maybe. I'm not saying that that's what the case is. I'm saying that it's possible because I was watching a video on, it was actually Incredible Acts of Science on the Science Channel. And I mean, Outrageous Acts of Science. And there was a story about a young boy who was walking on the beach and he slipped through a pocket of loose sand that led into like a deep, it was a deep hole, and it was just filling up with sand because it just collapsed, and he basically got trapped underneath it and he was buried almost alive. They found him, you know, because apparently the mother realized that he was nowhere near her, and she ran back to see exactly where he was. She couldn't find him, and somehow they located the area where he was last seen, and they dug him out of there. It took him a couple hours to do that, but there was obviously an air pocket in that area that he had fell into, and he was able to survive, but I'm pretty sure he was seriously damaged, like as far as physically, you know, he wasn't getting any air, he wasn't getting any food. But it's a possibility that maybe they fell into a loose patch of dirt. Maybe they both fell into this canyon that they said that they were traveling to. But if that was the case, they would have found their bodies. Now, the whole shtick is about finding these people, okay? But if you can't find them in any normal, logical way, obviously something other than something illogical caused them to disappear. Okay, now I hate to say that now since they're still looking for them, because I really do hope that they do find them. But if they don't have any trace of them at all, if they can't find a trace of them at all in any part of the search, and it's been 10 days, what else could have happened? Could there have been some sort of UFO abduction? Maybe. Could there have been some sort of pocket that opened up in the space-time continuum and they slipped right through it, or they got sucked into it? Because I've heard that from watching other YouTube channels, including I think Secure Team 10, that what the hell? Hold on one second. Oh, never mind. It's something. My computer's acting up again. Okay. Now, like I said, there is talk about there being these wormholes that opened up that extend all the way out to the sun. Now, it's possible that these wormhole openings stretch from the sun to the earth and just open up randomly in all parts of the planet. Now, I'm not saying that these wormholes would lead straight to the sun where you burn to a crisp, but I'm just saying there are pockets that open up from here to the sun, you know, and these are random areas. So here on Earth, there's pockets that open up to these different Earths or parallel Earths, dimensions, planets, you name it. They just open up randomly all over the world, and you just happen to be walking right into them because you can't see them with the naked eye. Now, that is one of my theories. It's one of George Norris' theories too. He said that maybe it's got something to do with dimensional portals that open up randomly and you just walk right into it without even noticing it. Because energy cannot be seen with the naked eye. Well, certain energy. But so energy like that can't be seen with the naked eye. You have to have some type of device that can peer into this invisible energy. But all in all, I really do hope that they do find them. So I don't want to just say straight up that that's what happened. But that is partially what could have happened if they can't find them. If they do not find these people before the search is completely done, then that's gonna leave a lot of speculation, a lot of questions as to what happened to them. Then they're gonna start looking at, did someone kill them and dispose of the bodies in a way that no one would ever find them? Is that possible that they'll actually do it without leaving behind any evidence? It's not likely. And I know there have been cases of people being kidnapped and murdered, and they don't find the evidence until like a couple of years later in an area that someone just happened to be walking in. But still, the fact is that they are found. There's tons of cases of people disappearing in national parks where no one is ever found ever again. We're talking about 30 plus years, sometimes more than that, where people go in and they don't come out, and they start searching for them, and there's no trace of them ever even being in the park. They have been seen walking into the park, but they have never been found. Where it's like people just vanished, off the face of the earth. Okay, now when people look at that kind of thing and they say that that's impossible, there's one thing I've learned about all this after seeing the things that I've seen over the years growing up. There is a definite possibility that what you believe to be impossible is very possible. It's just that we just can't grasp that. We feel like we don't have the technology to even make that happen. We do. It's just that kind of technology is owned by the government and by the Greys and whoever else. Okay? I'm just saying, I'm here to shed some light on the subject in all areas. In a normal sense and in a supernatural sense, or any kind of sense. I look at all avenues, all areas of the unknown, the paranormal, and anything that would be logical. Because think about it. Let's just say that somebody had something to do with them disappearing. It could have been a jealous boyfriend of hers that she dated in the past, who actually hated the fact that she dumped him for somebody else. It could be one of his friends. I don't know. It could be foul play, but they said there's no evidence of foul play, because I'm pretty sure there would probably be some blood in the area if they were killed or murdered. That would indicate that there was some foul play, but there's no evidence whatsoever of foul play. There's no evidence of them even being in the park. They know they were there. They found that car on a trailhead called Maze Loop, but still, they're not found. They said there was some fresh footprints around the car and everything, so that could have been them getting out of the car, and then they just walk into oblivion. You can't help but think these things because of how the evidence perceives the situation. If the evidence shows you that they have not been found, they have not been heard of since they went into the park, that means something weird happened to them. You can't just say it was a serial killer. You can't just say that somebody kidnapped them. There would have to be some evidence of a kidnapping. There would have to be some evidence of a serial killer in the park, or someone that was following them into the park knowing that they're in the middle of nowhere and they just do away with them. Now, what would they do with the bodies? They would probably just leave them there, like how they did this an entire family that was left out in Death Valley, lined up in graves, like one after the other, And it was like, it was a family of 4 or 5. I think it was the mother, the father, and their kids. I think it was about maybe 3 kids, I believe. And they were all found buried right next to each other, in the desert. And somebody was obviously following them and decided they wanted to kill a family, so they killed them. I don't know what their background was. I don't know, maybe they were dealing in drugs and they were drug dealers and they got the kids involved because they couldn't get out. It could have been anything. But the fact is that they were found dead, buried right next to each other, side by side, mysteriously. I don't think the person's ever been caught. Just like the Ryan Singleton's story, where he was found in Death Valley in the trunk of a car that wasn't even his, and they said that he was completely gutted. I'm talking eyeballs, tongue, organs, heart, all of that stuff was gone out of his body, and it was replaced with newspaper. So nobody still knows who these people are that's doing this. But the fact that these people went into a park in the middle of the summer in 110-degree weather, that right there, I'd be like, why would you do something like that? And most people, they go hike in the fall or even in the winter, or even if it's the fall of the year. At night, the temperatures drop practically below zero. Sometimes they stay at a steady 30 degrees, maybe 50 degrees, but it gets cold out there at night. So if it's hot during the day and they trying to hike, maybe they humble down somewhere in an area where they could be, where they could stay until it gets cooler, but still, there's no trace of that either. So what could have happened? What could have happened to these people? Like I said, I really do hope that they do find them. I would hate to say that they'll find them, or they'll find their lifeless bodies. I would hate to say that, because the family is really looking for that to happen, where they find their children. They actually have a gathering going on, I think, right now. I guess with family and friends, since there's still no evidence to say that they've been found. I really do that they hope find them, but like I said, I can only speculate as to what happened. I can only give you my thoughts of what could have happened to them, especially since there was no trace of them even found in the park. There's no trace of them even being in the park. So, like I said before, something unusual, something unknown to our mind has happened to these people. That's the only thing I can say if there's no evidence given to us by the National Park Service or law enforcement. Okay, so, but yeah, it's crazy. If there's any more leads to this, I will definitely keep you guys, up to date with what's going on with the search for these two people. But in the meantime, let's just say our prayers for these people and hope that they are found. But I am going to get off this computer for a while, and I'm going to get into some more information about a new case that popped up that I heard about on my YouTube channel. I'm going to look into that, and that's going to be one of my next videos, including one that I posted on the Missing 411 Alternative Forum page on Facebook. One of the there was a story about this dead zone in Yellowstone National Park. There's some big news coming out of there right now about how the intense heat coming from that volcano is actually crumbling the asphalt on the street, where if people were to drive on there's a good chance that it might cave in. And I remember seeing something like that on I think it was 2012, where they said that the heat from the core was causing the crust to destabilize, to where it starts to crumble and everything will break apart, which is how California fell into the ocean, and a big chunk of it too from that. I love that movie. It was a great depiction of what could actually happen to this earth. Of course 2012 came and went and nothing happened, but I'm gonna tell you something about that, which was very weird. When the new millennium came in, or when 2012 came around, I'm gonna tell you right now, that was the most ominous 24 hours of my life. I'm telling you. And I think what it was that everybody that knew about what could happen on 2012, where they said the end of the world was coming, right? I think it was the negative tension coming from everyone on the planet, and it built up to the point where I could actually feel it. I could feel the tension, between everyone. It's like that nervousness, the fear of the earth cracking open and everyone falling into a huge cavern that led straight to the core of the earth, or maybe into this so-called planet that's embedded within the core of the earth. You know, where they said because you already know about how they said a second Earth or a second planet slammed into the Earth before the early years of the Earth when it was first formed, there was this rogue planet they called Theia. We slammed into the Earth, which caused a huge chunk of our planet to shoot out on the other side, which is what created the moon, and it coalesced into the moon over time. But this planet had embedded itself inside our Earth, so there's talk of a second Earth deep beneath our feet. Okay, so I'm just saying. But yeah, that movie 2012 had a great depiction on what could really happen to this planet. And I'm telling you, 2012 was crazy. That moment of wondering what would happen at 12 at the stroke of midnight. Like, you know, and the wind was howling. You know, I could hear it outside my window when I was living in my apartment, and I could hear the wind howling. It was like being in a horror movie. You know, it was weird. But it's almost like I could feel the tension of every person on this planet because of what everybody knew about 2012. And it's like, it was just so ominous, and it was like, ugh, it just felt so weird. I mean, I felt the same way. Even my girlfriend at the time called me saying that, well, if we don't get a chance to see each other, babe, I just want you to know I love you, and this and that and the other. You know, if the end is coming. And I was like, are you serious? I mean, at that time, I think it was 11:45. And I don't think that the end of the world would actually end right at the stroke of midnight. I would think that something would be happening, like earthquakes, lava shooting up from the core, and, you know, just basically melting everything in sight. I would think it was something like that, like the destruction of something in the lines of destruction of Krypton, you know, where everything just started, you know, just gradually over time, just destroying that planet, you know, where, you know, like I think in the cartoon you saw these plumes of like lava and dirt and smoke shooting up in all directions, and then all of a sudden, boom, the whole planet explodes. That's my idea of total destruction of the planet. If the core basically destabilized and it just blew up the entire planet, you know, that would be my idea of total destruction. But that didn't happen. And leading up to the point where 12 midnight hit, I guess everybody was thinking that the Earth would just be destroyed at that moment. So that's a precise time limit. But that didn't happen. We are still here. Okay? So, obviously, 2012, the 2012 prediction was a complete bust. Nobody really knows when that day is going to come. Nobody knows when, you know, Jesus is supposed to come back and do whatever it is he's going to do. I don't know that. I don't want to get into religion. That's not what I do here. That's not what this channel is all about. But I just know I talk about weird stuff. Okay? But anyway, guys, I gotta go. It's my day off, and I'm gonna get looking into this other information about a woman that disappeared, I believe, in Alaska. And then there's, of course, that dead zone I was telling you about. I want to get into that too. I want to see if I can pull up any more information on that. That's gonna be one of the two of my next videos. So I'm gonna throughout the day splice it, and I'm gonna do one and I'll do the other one before the night's over. So you know how I do it, guys. You know how I end every video. I will see you guys later. Aloha, mahalo, and ahuyo. Hang loose, guys. Shoot.